Prepare for insight.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Ugins Insight podcast and vidcast that is hosted on YouTube channel. And today, you may want to actually be checking it out as a vidcast because we're doing a bit of a special episode today, ladies and gentlemen. Not only do we have a special guest, which is from possibly one of my favorite podcasts about Magic the Gathering that I do enjoy listening to, but it is a special podcast in terms of we're discussing Commander, and this is actually a Commander Clinic special. And today's special guest, what we have on, is from Rather Be Drafting, as well as a host of review websites that he does and various other things. We have Dez Maggs, everybody. Welcome, Dez, to the channel.
Thank you so much. Wow, I actually felt like who's on this podcast with us? That guy sounds cool.
Well, Dez, I've got to keep, I've got to make it, big you up, man. You've been friends for quite some time. We have good fun and good laughs and good giggles. And
Yeah.
I'll say you're an awesome guy, man.
I was a bit shocked, but yeah. So this is Commander trying to teach a commander to a moron, pretty much.
It's not basically what happened is for those of you who probably have listened to Rather Be Drafting, you'll be very aware that occasionally Des comes to me and says, Jordan, I'm struggling to build a deck around this idea. Please build me a deck so I can steal it and claim that I did all the credit entirely myself. And basically, so I've brewed a couple of decks for Des over the last couple of years, possibly, and he started actually building them, which is dangerous, let's be honest.
It is, yeah. So it is funny too, though, because sometimes I'm like, man, I really want a cat and dog deck or a Ren and Stimpy deck. And then about 2 days later, I just hear ding, and I look in and I was like, oh, Jordan Oxhead Magic, and there's just a link, and you're like, choice, let's do this. So I've bought my pauper deck that he made for me, and then they bought in lands that can't be destroyed, so that made me cry a little bit.
Well, Des, let's be honest, right? The entire reason why Wizards of the Coast did that is because they were like, oh dear lord, there's these two random Southern Hemisphere podcasters who are brewing land destruction decks. We need to fix this immediately. That's what happened.
So I reckon, but it was funny though, because I literally put in the order, and then we did Rather Be Drafting did a set thingo, and I did not even Jerry, and then I listened to this podcast and you brought it up, and I'm like, oh,
but but I'll tell you one thing: our listeners, Des, have come through with the good stuff. They have already suggested 2 immediate sideboard cards to factor in, which makes your opponent sacrifice lands. Instead of deliberately targeting them. So we have ways and means now of getting around that. So we might I might have to revamp the deck list for you a little bit, but we can do something with it.
It's kind of cool too, though, because it means that I can destroy what I need to, and when they bring out those ones, go, bro, just sacrifice that one for me. Yeah, cheers.
You can just do that for me. If you'd like to sack this land, feel free.
Oh, man.
Right, but anyway, so let's get to the actual meat and potatoes of this episode. So basically, Des got, quite frankly, a steal, and I mean a steal, on a commander deck. He, do you want to tell us which deck it was again? Just to remind the
Yes. So it is this deck here. I have it here. Ooh. I don't even know if you can see it because of all the lights and stuff that are here. For those of you
who are listening, you should be watching the vidcast so you can see our beautiful faces as well.
But yes, I got the Elf commander deck. So Food Time, who is on Rather Be Drafting, is
Cal Time. I'll mention that now because there is
another... Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry. It's a Kaldheim Elf commander precon deck. I heard Food Time talk about it, and it sounded like it was a deck right up my alley, which is just create a whole heap of elves and go bananas. And I've always loved elves. The first ever draft I did, I had literally learned Magic at PAX. I think it was the day before, and then one of the guys brought out a cube and said, "Let's cube draft." And I just went, elves sound cool, so I just grabbed all the elves. So it kind of has a special place because I actually finished second, and it's the first time I've actually finished anything but last in a tournament. So I'm like, ooh, I want elves. So I came to the man, the myth, the legend, and went, Orc's Head, I need help. I'm stupid.
All right, okay. Well, one is that for people who have been following my YouTube channel for some time may understand that yes, I am a tribal person. I enjoy tribal decks. Tribal decks is my jam. Goblins all the way, mono red. But I'll be honest, I hate elves. I can't stand elves. Me and elves do not have a good relationship, especially in pretty much every format I play in, because there's an elf deck that it just wants to ruin my day. But that's besides the point. I thought, you know what, I'm going to swallow the bile and venom and put it into some productive
Oh no!
productive energy for a friend.
I'm just gonna hide under my beanie. That'd be right too, though. I finally get on this podcast. I'm all excited to get on this podcast because I actually listen to this podcast and I'm like, oh, I finally get on the podcast, and it's to bring him something he hates.
That's fine. It's all right, Des, because as I said, I've channeled that energy and gone. You know what? If I was gonna do this, how am I gonna do it? So, we're calling this a Commander Clinic special. So basically, what I've done is we're gonna break it into three parts. There's one where there is essentially a $10 budget upgrade. So it's $10 or less. And what I would do, the next one is a bit of a non-budget version. So if you wanted to go $50 plus, with some immediate cards that you want to go in, and the final, the final one is what I'm going to call the budget, which is possibly some of the most expensive cards that if you were to put these in a commander deck, you're like, why? but it's I've found some very spicy ones that would be cool to go in.
And not to mention, one of the cards, I was like, oh my god, that's how much? And it's already gone up since you sent me that list.
I know, I can imagine.
I was like,
so yeah, so as a whole, we're going to move on to the deck list and just quickly explain the route for the major upgrades, because this deck does have essentially the one thing that is interesting about the Kaldheim Elf deck for the commander is it's a bit of token, a bit of tribal, and a bit of graveyard, and it kind of doesn't maximize on any of the one synergy, and I kind of feel that that's, I mean, it's great for a precon, precon, I can say the word, but it is kind of missing a bit of oomph, in my opinion. It is good as a precon deck, and if it's versing other precons, because we've done it on the we've actually played against it in live commander games with precon decks, and it was good, but it was kind of just missing. You know, if you were to go up against an actual graveyard strategy matters deck, it will suffer. If you go up against an actual token build deck, it's gonna suffer. It's kind of not. It's a jack of all trade and a master of none. So my upgrades for this is how I would play it, which is token tribal synergy, realistically. So without further ado, we're gonna.
It's pretty much what I wanted.
Yeah, which is, we I know you Des a bit, and I know that you like to sort of, you don't want to win with big creatures. You want to go wide. You want to get in with lots of weenies and just do lots of damage as much as possible. So without further ado, we're going to go to the first upgrade, which is the budget upgrade. So this is for $10 or less. Let's have a look at this. Then we switch through. Now we've got the card display. We're stacked on top of each other. So, hello Des from down there. How are you?
He's on me. Get him off. Get him off me. What's he doing?
Right. So to begin with, so obviously I wanted to keep it as $10 because a lot of people who get into Commander are, aren't flush with cash. They're gonna only want to make minor upgrades here and there to start with. So the first thing I said that we were going to remove was Roots of Wisdom. Now, Roots of Wisdom for a start off, it's a 2-mana sorcery. It's from Kaldheim. Basically, you mill 3 cards, and you can return a land card or an elf card from your graveyard to your hand. If you can't, you can draw a card. So, kind of good, kind of not. In the 99, the chances of you hitting a obviously if you're going to mill, if this is like turn 2, the chances of you hitting a land or an elf card specifically is none. So you're paying 2 mana to draw a card, which isn't too bad. Late game, you can get a piece back, get an elf that you want back, or get a land specifically that you want back. But I just kind of felt that this was a bit meh. It kind of it's okay, but it's not. There's better things I think we could do with that. The next card I took out was Ambition's Cost, which is a 4-mana sorcery. Draw 3 cards, lose 3 life. Now, I'm probably going to get shouted at. And I will. I probably will get shouted at by people because they're like, why? Why are you taking card draw out? just feel like that this isn't worth it for 4 mana. Is my only thing. Especially as there's not much. Well, there is a bit of life gain in the precon, but there's not enough to justify paying 3 life for it. And I know we're playing Commander, and I know we start at 40, and that's the reason why people are going to shout at me. All right.
I won't lie. This was the one that I questioned. I was like, I thought card draw was good though.
Yeah. For a budget upgrade, I kind of figured that we're better off taking out some of these more higher cost spells and putting them in a bit of value that is better. So that's kind of where I was thinking of. And the next one is probably a bit more evident, and probably people will agree with me, which is Prowess of the Fair, which is a 2-mana tribal enchantment for elves. Whenever a non-token elf is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you get to create a 1/1 green elf creature token. Now, yes, I know. The only problem is that I play a tribal strategy as one of my main commander decks, which is elementals, and one problem is that you play things like this where you want an enchantment that matters for a specific creature type, and the chances of you ever hitting it is slim to none, and the chances of you go, sweet, I've kind of got this on the board now, and things just get countered left, right, and center, and you don't get to have your creature type on the board. So I was kind of like, yeah, this can pretty much come out. And plus, I want to build a token synergy where I want to flood the board with tokens, and this doesn't work with tokens. So it's kind of, it doesn't really work. So it's only going to work with a proportion of our elves, and it's kind of pointless. So it's like, yeah, I'd rather take this out and have something better in, realistically.
Yeah, no, this one I understand actually, because I tried to watch a few videos to try to sound smarter, but I can't remember any of it. But I remember this one was always most people's first.
Yeah,
and that was the weirdest thing. And I'm like, oh, this sounds alright. But then, as you said, if we're flooding the board with elves or with tokens, there's no point. And it is weird because it doesn't seem to work well with the commander. So it seems like a weird addition.
Yeah, I get why they've got it in there, because it's essentially board wipe prevention for but the problem is it only cares about non-tokens, and it's like, well, a lot of elves kind of make tokens, and it's like, well, it doesn't really, when, if you flood the board and you've got 50 elves on the board and 30 of them are tokens, it's like it only cares about 2/5 of the board. It's like, it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's what we're taking out. Okay, now to put in, firstly, the most expensive card we're putting in is a Planeswalker, which is Tyvar Kell. Now, Tyvar Kell, 4 mana, enters the battlefield with 3 loyalty, so it's pretty good costed. Elves you control can tap for black mana, so we're still in the commander colours, still works beautifully. First ability is you can +1, and you put a 1/1 counter onto one elf, up to one elf, sorry, and you get to untap it. So you can tap for mana, untap it, and it gains Death Touch until the end of turn. Pretty sweet. Baby. Pretty sweet, not too bad. 0 mana, you're going to create a 1/1 green elf creature token, so bit of protection on the ground. Not protection in the air, sadly, but Planeswalkers have that inherent ability to not protect the air, which is fine. Yeah. So most people tend to play around that. The ultimate is where we're talking some really sweet synergy, which is, if you get to -6, you get an emblem, which is whenever you cast an elf spell, it gains haste until the end of turn, and you get to draw 2 cards.
That's amazing.
So this is where the ambitions cost taking this out, which is 4 mana, draw 3, lose 3, and getting this, you get this up to ultimate and protect it, you're laughing. Quite frankly, you can do a lot of awesomeness and get plenty of draw, because there's still plenty of elf spells where you're going to have lots of good stuff going on. I mean,
not to mention it acts as ramp. You can also protect itself by going, I've only got 1 creature out, but it's got Death Touch, so good luck, guys.
I mean, pretty much that. I mean, no, see, it only gets Death Touch until the end of turn, so it doesn't doesn't follow on once you've passed your turn. But, you can, but there are plenty of elves that have reach, so making, your 1/2 Jaspara Sentinel suddenly a 2/3, and it's got reach, it's going to do some form of protection. It's quite good. So that's kind of the first obvious one that went in. They got literally, I was like, yeah, slamming that in straight away. It's got to go in. Because one, it's generating tokens, it's ramping us nicely, and if we get it to ultimate, which is 3 turns around the board, getting it to ultimate, I think, is slim. is very slim chance of doing it. But if you maybe think about putting in a proliferate package, possibly you could do something with it. But that's possibly a different synergy you want to go down. Like that, you're probably talking maybe a +1/+1 counter proliferation synergy with Tyvar. So I think it's also a really good distractor sort of thing. Because
Oh
one thing
yeah.
you want to do with Commander, you want to keep your life total quite high, and playing Planeswalkers is a good way to keep your life total high. Because they're going, oh no, I need to deal with that now and get rid of it and do this. And suddenly, if they're wasting removal or creatures attacking Tyvar, then that's great because that's less removal and creatures to block your incoming threats. So yeah, that's quite good.
Yeah. I won't lie. This is one that I was hoping you'd put in, just because I don't get to play with Planeswalkers much. Like even in drafts and stuff like that, I've never got one. In any of the pre-releases, never got one. So I always like seeing Planeswalkers. They're just a little. They're still. I think that I'm still new enough and still haven't played with them enough that they're still special. So I get all excited. And for $6, it'd be stupid not to put this in.
Oh yeah, well when I priced this up at the time, yeah, I mean I think it's TCG Player these prices that I found. This was $6, and I was like, why wouldn't you stick this in immediately?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. So we'll move on to the next card. Now the next card was Elvish Warmaster. Why this isn't in the pre-con deck already, I don't know. It should be. Now Elvish Warmaster is a 1 and a green, 2 mana 2/2. So it's a bear. Immediately great. Everyone agrees. It's 2 mana 2/2. It's a bear. Everyone loves it. It's an elf warrior, and whenever one or more other elves enter the battlefield under your control, you get to create a 1/1 grieve elf creature warrior token, but it only triggers once each turn. But the best thing is that it has this mana sink in it for 7 mana, which is 5 and 2 green, and elves you control get +2/+2 and gain Death Touch. Yes, the amount of times in standard this is amazing. It's unreal. So this is an auto include in this deck. It's generating tokens. It's on curve. It's just late game. It sinks in for a lot of damage. Fabulous, and you can
almost be a board wipe if you play it well enough. And
yeah. If you swing this and they block in certain ways, and then you pump it up. Yeah, you're pretty much trading up, and a lot of the time that's good. That's all you want. Because that's the problem with token decks, is that you generally want to be trading up, not trading down, sort of thing. So this allows you to do something. I mean, if you've got enough mana to sink this in multiple times as well, you could theoretically... Yeah, you can activate it more than once, sort of thing.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, it doesn't tap, and when everything taps for black...
Yeah. So you need plenty of green, but theoretically, yeah, you could swing out with all your tokens, leave this hanging back, and just sink all your mana into pumping it up. It could work really well.
Oh, I didn't realize you could do it twice.
More than twice. Hey, this is Commander we're talking about. The realms of pumping 3 goes worth of mana into this isn't out of the realm of possibilities for certain decks.
Mate, could you imagine that, just having 30 elf tokens and just going, okay, cool, they're now 3/3s and they've got Death Touch, and I'm going to swing it at this person, this person, this person for possibly like 30 damage each, and they go like, we've got to block it. Yeah, good luck.
Potentially, yeah. No, there's certain things you could do. So those two were the immediates. Now, Elvish Warmasters are $3, and I was like, right, okay, what other card am I putting in for $1? And now, I was racking my brains and looking at prices, and I actually found one which was Storev the Devarkin Lich. Now, this is from War of the Spark. So, War of the Spark, 4 mana 5/4 with Trample, a zombie elf wizard. So it's it's hitting multiple tribal themes. But whenever he deals combat damage to a player or a planeswalker, you return to your hand target creature or a planeswalker card in your graveyard that was put there this combat. Now, it's not brilliant. It's not awesome. It's not great. Things have to have died, but this is Commander we're talking about. Removal's always flying left, right, and center anyway. And there's a possibility of you trading off something, first strike damage, killing something, getting things back. There's things that could happen. It's not the best ability, and I agree that I was sort of struggling to find a third card. So but this is sort of a bit of a graveyard recursion one that I figured I could put in. I'm
So,
sure-
yeah, I like this one. I think this one's really solid. I actually like that, and I feel like this could be good late game. Like by turn 5 or 6, you're gonna get something back.
I mean, I just like it for the trample. A 5/4 with trample is pretty good,
That's true.
and if you've got the Elvish Warmaster on the field, making this a 7/6 is pretty good. 7/6 with Death Touch, man. You know,
Oh,
Death Touch and Trample is a beautiful combination because all he has to do is deal 1 point of damage to the creature and he kills it, and so all the damage tramples over, and it's just lovely.
oh,
So yeah,
brutal.
so basically, in terms of the budget, that's it. I am sure the listeners could probably suggest a good card for under $1 that might
Oh,
replace Storev, and I'm sure flood the comment section or either on the vidcast on YouTube or via Podbean and let me know. I'm sure we'll be very happy to hear. And honestly, I had a look at cards, but I'm sure someone else can find a better card. But yeah, that'll be good.
I don't know. I like this one because I think it's good too because I don't think we're probably going to have much graveyard recursion in this deck. And as we know, as we were just talking about, this planeswalker, it can get back a planeswalker,
Yeah, I mean,
and this planeswalker could come in handy. Even if you only get it, tick it up once or twice, I still think this could
yeah,
be
I
a good
mean,
card for that.
I mean, when they did Storev, it was designed with the War of the Sparks Planeswalkers in mind, which had no positive loyalty
Oh,
abilities, only negative. So essentially, it was like, sweet, take off this last counter on my Ashiok, and then I'm gonna swing in, deal combat damage, get Ashiok back from the graveyard to hand. Get it back to my hand, play Ashiok again, have it keep recurring. So, it certainly could have a place in the deck if you want to build around a graveyard recursion theme. But I'm just using it as a good place filler, quite for now. But yeah, there's definitely things we could do with it. Should be cool. So, right,
like it.
that is the budget version. So that was $10, $10 or less. Now we're going to move on to the non-budget, which is for $50 or more.
This is where the fun starts to kick in. Like I like those additions, but this is probably where I'm at the moment. $50 US, I think, is very easy to justify, especially when I actually bought the Commander deck for I think it was $20 plus $5 shipping because I had it on special and they're trying to get rid of it. So I was
Wow.
like,
I mean, that's pretty good. So
I'll take it.
So basically, in terms of removing, I've kept the first three the same, which is Roots of Wisdom, Ambition's Cost, and Prowess of the Fair. The next two cards, there's only two of the cards I decided to remove. The first one being the End Raise Runners. Now, End Raise Forerunners is an 8-mana 7/7 with Vigilance, Trample, Haste, and when it enters the battlefield, other creatures you control gets +2/+2 and gain Vigilance and Trample to end a turn. When this came out in it wasn't War of the Spark. Yes, it was War of the Spark.
Was it? I thought it was Ravnica.
No, it was was it the Guild Ravnica Allegiance? It might be Ravnica Allegiance.
Yeah, that one.
When this first came out, it obviously was very much known as Baby Hoof because it's doing a job, it's just not as good, and we all understand that, and it's fine, So it is a good card, but obviously I've replaced it with its bigger brother that everybody loves. Well, everyone who's not having it stared down the neck of them, But so that is the first card we're removing out the deck. The second one was Eye Blight Massacre, which is a 4-mana sorcery. Non-elf creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. So it's a miniature board wipe, but no offense for 4 mana. In fact, in terms of board wipes, there's better versions. Even when the Kaldheim set came out, there's a tribal specific version where you can save your stuff and hurt everything else. So yeah, Eye Blight is immediate, can come out in my opinion. So getting around to what we're gonna add in. So obviously, start off with Nadia, Agent of the Dusknull. Now he's a 6-mana elf warrior, is a 3/3. Whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield, you get +1/+1 counter on the Day Agent, the Dusknull. And whenever he leaves the battlefield, you get a number of 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens equal to its power. So this is where the entire tribal synergy, in my opinion, comes in, because you don't care about your tokens. You swing out. Nadia gets big. Oh, then they go and remove him. Oh, then you've got a load of tokens again. Fabulous.
I have one question about this card.
Yep.
Say for example, I have 10 tokens and
Yep.
I get Lathril disked, if that's the right way to say it. Does the tokens go on?
Nevinul's Disc. Oh, I need to look at Nev's Disc now. Nev's
Yeah, because
Disc.
I actually thought that was better than the one you just said, the 2/2.
Nevinul's Disc does destroy all artifacts and creatures. So, hang on. So let's see. So if they Nev Disc, it all happens at the same time. So he won't trigger Nadia. Well, no, sorry, it does trigger Nadia, but Nadia's dead already. So he can't gain any more 1/1 counters.
So if you had 3 on him, you just get 3. You don't get the 10 plus the 3.
Yeah, but there's plenty of things like if you have a sacrifice outlet of some free sacrifice outlet, like even Viserys Seer, which is a 1-mana 1/1 sack to scry. You could, the Nev Disc. You go fine, stack all my tokens. Nadir is now X power X, XX whatever it is. And then, Nev Disc goes off, board wipes, Nev dies, and then you've suddenly got a board again. So, that works out. So, if you put a free sack outlet in there, yes, against a board wipe, it will work brilliantly.
Wow. So, that's not bad, because that's what, 10 cents, isn't it, you said?
Yeah. 10 cents. It was in Commander Legends. It's uncommon. So it's floating around. You could probably find a nice foil shiny copy for maybe about a book if you wanted.
I've probably got one sitting around here because I actually got a box of Commander. I didn't even think to look through the commons and uncommons. Oh god!
I'll tell you now, you probably got about 4 of them lying around in there. Yeah. So that was like my first. That was the first one because I was obviously building on a token synergy. The next card again works massively with a token synergy, and it needs to go in the deck, which is Skull Clamp. Now, Skull Clamp is a 1-mana artifact and equips for 1 as well. And now the equipped creature gets +1 -1. But whenever a equipped creature dies, you get to draw 2 cards. Now, we're building 1/1 elves. Essentially, it's pay 1 mana, draw 2 cards. You can ask any blue player, that's worth its weight in gold. Card advantage, hello. That's all you want. You want to be able to get good card draw, and it's just fantastic. So definitely worth it. Obviously, we do have a few lords in this deck, so this isn't going to work well with the lord synergy, but it's just good in the early game. If you find it early game, you just want to get some good card draw on the go, yeah, definitely worth it.
That's good, yeah, because I know that's one thing that I've always struggled with when I've made my decks personally is card draw. I always forget about that, or it's always something I just kind of forget. So
yeah. Card draw, you do need card draw, and it depends how you use it. I just like being able to use and abuse tokens in this manner, and Skull Clamp is just a great way of using them. Obviously, we've got Elvish Warmaster in there. We're not going to go over that again because you can see how that already works. The next card is, of course, the big brother to the Endra's Forerunners, which is the Creator Behemoth, which is, again, 8 mana. It's a 5/5, so it's not a 7/7. I'll give it that, but it has haste. And but when it enters the battlefield, creatures you control can trample, and they get +X/+S until the end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. Now, in token synergy decks, this thing is a 1-turn kill a lot of the time, especially in Commander. Damage is flying left, right, and center, especially early game. This thing can just end the game. or even if it's not going to end the game, it gets in for such a big hit that people are like, whoa, okay, I need to maybe rethink my strategy a little bit.
Oh man, I'm just thinking this, and then Elvish Warmaster, and then just not have any more friends.
Yeah, it is a beast. It does work very well. It is $40, but then again, it's played everywhere. It's played in Commander, Legacy, Modern. It is a heavily played card, and it is in demand. So that's the reason why the expense. Luckily, it was in Jumpstart, so it's had a bit of it has had quite a few reprints around. So if you mix and match your copies, you'll be fine. But you only need one for Commander, so you'll be all right.
Yeah, But yeah, that one at $40, you'd be crazy not to put that in, I reckon.
Yeah. The next and final card for the upgrade budget is the Triumph of the Hordes. 4 mana sorcery. Until the end of turn, you creatures you control get +1/+1, gain trample, and the most important word, infect.
This just reminds me of random dude Josh. He is a mad infect player, and every time, like, he's actually building decks for his son right now that has infect, and he's teaching his
Yeah.
son infect and land destruction and stuff like this. And I won't lie, this little nod to him just makes me feel happy. And this is a card I've never heard of.
Now it's funny. I only found out about it when I bought one of my random collections years ago, and I was flicking through, scanning the card, see what value I got at the end, sort of thing, and then seeing that this card was at the time, because this was before a reprint came out, and it was like $30, and I was like, what? And then I read it, and I was like, oh dear lord, and now I know why, because
And uncommon as well. Like, that is insane.
Oh yeah, it's uncommon. It is powerful. 4 mana. It's great. The fact that it's gaining infect as well. If you tie this in with, if you can actually tie this in with Crater Hoof, or even this with, if you can do a pump from the Elvish Warmaster as well.
Oh, God.
It's sickening what you could do, because of course you gain Death Touch, Trample, and Infect. Yeah.
Oh my God. And just so you know, if you don't win that turn, guys, it's over.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's going after you. You are dead next turn.
No, I mean, this is either you are winning the game or you're doing a coup de grace on your way out, sort of thing. That's the only reason you're doing it.
Just before you play this, and this is for everybody that's going to use this deck, you have to yell out Leroy Jenkins and then play this guy. I love it. Love it.
But no, it's so for those of you, obviously, because some people may be listening and not realizing why this card is so good. Infect gives you poison counters, so and that is for the amount of damage that's been dealt to the player. Now, if you get to 10 poison counters, you lose the game. So you may start off with 40 life. If you play an infect deck, they don't do any damage to you because you don't deal damage, normal damage with infect, but you gain poison counters instead. So it's a little unfair, and everyone will argue with you that everyone actually pretty much is in agreement that infect is unfair, because even if you start at 40 life, getting 10 poison counters is wrong. It should be 20. It should be 20.
I know. Far out. And that's the thing though, and especially if you get Behemoth out as well, like, oh my God, that's just not how you make porridge.
Yeah,
just saying it.
Pretty much. Right.
I want to even if I go the $10 deck, I want to buy this card anyway, just because it is such badass.
No, trust me. Yeah, I'm giving you options. The reason, from the TCG player I found, it was $17. So that's pretty much max. It's well over budget for the $10 or less one. But yeah, but it just having it in there is worth it.
So you wouldn't put the Planeswalker in this one, or you ran out of money?
I ran out of money. It's because it's Creative took the money, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Literally. I'm just giving people options, sort of thing. If you only had $50 to immediately spend, you could. You don't have to get a Creative. If you want real value,
but you should.
Stick Tyvar.
But you should.
Oh yeah, you should though. But you can stick Tyvar in and a whole host of other things. I for $50 I could rebuild the entire deck. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just keep it down to, if you just wanted to swap out a few cards, what would you do, sort of thing, and how would you make it? Because just swapping out these 5 cards would make the deck play so much differently, sort of thing.
And speaking of really dumb and amazing choices, and where nothing matters, this is the next section.
So yes, we're gonna get to the next section, which is a lovingly titled "Bucket Budget." This section, basically, while I was doing research, I came across cards that I've never seen before, or I've heard of, or I am aware of, because some of them are relatively new. But I was like, excuse me, it cost how much? So I couldn't really justify putting it in like the non-budget upgrade, because I can't realistically come to my friend Dez and say, Dez, you know what? I want you to buy a Singing Tree. Now, Singing Tree is the first one we're going to discuss. And Dez will go, "Oh, Jordan, that seems sweet. It seems like a good card. What does it do?" Well, Singing Tree, Des, is an amazing card. Do you care about combat damage? Maybe commander damage? You do, don't you? Well, Singing Tree is a 4-mana plant. It's a 0/3, but you tap it and a target attacking creature's power becomes 0 until the end of turn. No combat damage for that player. Fabulous. But then Des is going to go, "Oh, sounds sweet. How much is it?" I'm going to say, "Oh, well, it's only $258.
Actually, no. This is the one that he said that to me. And I'm like, you cannot be serious. And I'm like, let me have a look because I want to see if there's a way I can find it cheaper. Yeah, no. Right now it is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's awesome because commander damage is no longer a problem.
All right, but literally for 400, for on TCG Player right now for moderately played, the cheapest one we can find is 315. So it's even more ridiculous. Because when you sent me this, I was like, oh, this is cool. So I Googled it. And I noticed this one, he left the price off. So I'm guessing he wanted me to just do some Googling. And I'm like, this is cool. And I'm like, I'd actually buy this one. This one actually seems really good. And then I'm like, what? No.
No.
Jesus, the budget just left the building. Like, this is insane.
Well, that's the reason why I put it into this very specific section. So yeah, so
It's amazing though.
yeah, it's amazing.
No.
So that's our first one. Now, obviously, it's not an elf, so it doesn't fit in with the plant theme. It doesn't fit in with an elf tribal theme, but it is a plant. So it's technically on theme. We can technically argue it's on theme with elves.
Oh.
But yeah.
Ow.
So yeah, so we get to the next card, which is. Sorry, I'm going to butcher this. Eladamri, Lord of Leaves. Now, he's a legendary 2-mana 2/2. Again, bear, works well. All elves gain Forest Walk. Again, pretty good. But elves cannot be the target of spells or abilities. Oh, sorry.
Does that mean...
It basically means all your elves gain Shroud. Now, that doesn't work. Obviously, if you're playing Skull Clamp, it means you can't equip Skull Clamp anymore, which is bad. But then again, giving Shroud to every single one of your creatures, and then no longer your opponents can deliberately target removal, is brilliant.
So in a board wipe, like say we go back to my good old friend.
So board wipe would get rid of the elves. Board, there's, but then again, you can play things like Heroic Intervention to give your creatures indestructible and stuff like that. Yeah. There's ways and means you can protect your board. But just having a natural stacked ability where all your elves can't be touched by targeted removal or a targeted ability is pretty good.
One thing that I actually like is Forest Walk, because I think that in all the games that I've played, I honestly think there's only been 2 decks that I've seen that didn't have at least a forest or didn't have at least a green mana source called forest.
There is that. There's also the fact that there are plenty, I'll tell you now, there's plenty of very cheap enchantments that you can enchant onto players' lands to make them forests. As well.
See, people, yes. This is why I come to Jordan, because Jordan thinks of these things and is messed up and in the right kind of way. He made me a land destruction deck because he knows I'm a bit nuts as well. And I think this is why we work so well together, because
we do.
All hells, yes.
I mean, I tell you now, you can do plenty with this. It's unreal. So yeah, so that was our second one. Now he comes in only a breeze of $123 with the price that I found. So,
I'll just get 2 then, and then just not get a signature.
Obviously, yeah, you need 2. Job done.
Easy.
To be fair, I'll tell you what, I do actually quite like the art on this. On the original art from Tempest is Ron Corona. It's very nice.
Yeah, it is cool. It's kind of got this cool old school comic book feel, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of like old school kind of what is it, Aquaman-esque guards and stuff, and it just has that feel, but it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
the
like it.
crown and the armor, yeah, that kind of makes sense. I can see you on that. Right. Anyway,
glad one of us can.
Yeah. Moving on to the next card. These are all going down in price as we've been going, by the way, as well. So the next one is Norwood Priestess. Now she's a 4-mana elf druid and she's a 1/1. But you can tap and you may put a green creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, and you can activate this ability only during your turn before your attack is declared. So in main phase 1, but it's sneak attack. They come onto the board and they stay there. They don't get sacked. They don't do nothing. Crater Hoof Behemoth for free? Yes.
Oh yes, I didn't even think of that. Oh,
And the best bit is there's any green creature. There's Ronus, the God Eternal Ronus. There's loads of horrible things that you could do with this card.
oh,
Oh,
see, if so, in theory, you could literally play a forest, Soul
I've
Ring,
just thought of
a
one.
forest,
There's
and then
Progenitor Mimic is unbanned as well in Commander. You can play that. That allows you to tutor up creatures if it dies. So yeah, there's lots of there's lots of horrible things.
so yeah, in a perfect world, you could play one forest, Soul Ring, a second forest, and then tap and get whatever the hell you want.
So you could theoretically turn this card out and then start emptying your hand with green creature cards.
Oh, that's. I think I've just fallen in love with it.
Yep, it's a pretty good card. It's going to cost you $96, but you know it's kind of worth it for cheesing it out. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. Right.
It's the problem with this fucker budget is every time I see a card, I'm like, oh, I really want that. Oh, that card would be sick. And then he's like, and it'll be this price, and my heart just goes.
Well, one card that you will like because you pulled it, you jammy sod. Our next card we're going to discuss is Allosaurus Shepherd, which is a beautiful 1-mana 1/1. It can't be countered. Green spells you control can't be countered, regardless. So it doesn't matter if a creature or not. If it's green, it ain't being countered. And you can sink 6 mana into it, and until the end of the turn, each elf you control has base power and toughness 5/5. And it also becomes a dinosaur into its other types, which obviously doesn't matter. But yeah, it is a powerhouse. It's only been put into one set, and Dez is lucky enough to open it because he's a jammy sword. So we already know this card's going in his pre-con deck.
Oh man, it's there. Yeah, that was the funniest thing because I bought some Jumpstart because I was in lockdown, like in Melbourne where I am. There was 8 or 9 months of lockdown. We couldn't get out, so I missed all the Jumpstart. And then, funnily enough, the same place I bought this Commander deck, they were also selling Jumpstart. So I was like, oh sweet, I'll buy a few packs with my Commander set. And I pulled this. I was like, oh, that's cool. I've got some elves. That's awesome. That's what I need for this deck that Jordan's going to make us. Not realizing that this was as good as what it was, and then I kind of got a little bit too excited over Teferi.
Oh yeah.
And then Jordan sent me a thing and went, "Here's what your cards are worth." And Teferi was about 7th on the list of the money, and this one was obviously at the top. So yeah, this card I can get behind. This part of the fuck it budget, I like it. I like it a lot.
You like it because it's free. You don't have to pay for this. But for those of you who may not have immediately pulled this from your random Jumpstart packs, it was going to cost you about $80. You know, $80, maybe more depending on supply and demand. But it is a very good card. Especially, to be fair, it's really good in any green commander deck because the fact that it just gives you counter protection. Fabulous.
Yeah.
All you need to do is get some lightning greaves onto this bad boy so he can't be targeted immediately.
Yeah.
Or you just have an Eldarmory lying there on the board already. So it's
just full. Oh man, this card is cool, and I won't lie. Like I knew it was good. I just didn't realize A, it was worth as much, and B, it was as good as what it is. But yeah, I mean, especially late game, getting this out and then just going, oh yeah, my Elvish Warmaster also taps. Good luck, guys.
Oh yeah, pretty much. Well, do you want to give them? Do you want to make them all 5/5s, or do you want to make them death touches? Well, you can do everything really if you got enough mana to sink into both of them. Make them 7/7s with death touch and dinosaurs.
It's just cause. Just
why not? Right, now we're moving on to the final card. Now, this is by no means the only card that you could probably put on, but I wanted to make sure this podcast was under an hour. We have Raphelos, Lanoir Emissary. So he's a 2-mana, 2/1 elf druid. but you tap him to add a green mana for each forest you control. And funnily enough, we're in a green-black deck, and there's going to be a lot of forests. Bear in mind, that's not just basic land forest, that's forest. So your shock lands count, your dual lands count, your snow lands count, your snow dual lands count. There's, even the new indestructible artifact lands count.
Like, and worst case scenario, you get this out on turn 2, say, and you're tapping this guy for 2 green minimum.
Oh yeah. No, a worst case scenario, you have got turn 3 a minimum 4 mana. If you got another land in hand 5, yeah, it's definitely a good mana cheat. It's not the best one. There are some other good elves that tap for more mana than this, but it can do some good stuff. It can definitely do some good stuff in the deck. But yeah, but this one's only coming in at just under $74, so it's not going to break the bank too badly, but it's going to certainly give you something to do.
Just chump money. That's just chump money.
Just chump money, yeah, definitely.
It's like, no, but damn, I don't know what I want now. I kind of want to add all of them.
Yeah, I mean, it'd certainly ruin your budget, but yeah, you could do some stuff.
I won't lie, from the fucker budget, probably the only one I'm going to write is the Shepherd, because I've kind of got that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, the $50 one, I think we're probably going to add all of them. I'd like to find a way to put in at least the Planeswalker, Cull as well.
Yep.
But overall, like, the $50 one seems like it's going to step it up in a big, big way.
The $50 one does give you some serious options for token synergy. But obviously you can play around with that, play around with what you need and what you want and how much card draw. It's, Commander's not a perfect thing, and you've got to find your balance at the end of the day.
My thing is pretty easy. I just want 1 million elves on the board. That's it.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, I if you want to go full token synergy, there's things like Parallel Lives to look at to double your tokens. Even doubling season as well doubles all your tokens and all your loyalty, all your counter 1/1 counters and all your loyalty counters. So again, there's thousands of ways to break tokens.
Yeah,
sort of thing. But yeah, so you maybe want to look at, but if you're going to go down that route, you want to look at how you can utilize them. So maybe having things like free sack outlets and stuff like that. But you're in black as well, so you got things like
the tutors as well.
Tutors. There's so many things you could do with this deck.
But yeah, I think I'm definitely going to pick up Crater Hoof for sure. Like, if nothing else, that and the Elvish Warmaster, because I feel like those two just alone would make this deck like bounce up quite considerably.
Definitely, yeah. So anyway,
okay, so we're going to end this podcast, and then Derek's going shopping. Simple as that.
Yeah, we're going to end the podcast there because we are timing beautifully to not be too long of a podcast for everyone to enjoy. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone. Obviously, I did miss a week of Ugins Insights because I've been doing them weekly, and I did miss a week because I was too busy playing Jumpstart. For those of you who have not yet followed our YouTube channel, I highly recommend you go to Orcs Magic. Also follow us on Podbean. Des, please promote, obviously, your amazing podcast as well.
So yeah, so myself, MP Numbers, and Food Time do a podcast called Rather Be Drafting. I think we're currently at about 50. No, we're over 50 now. I think we're closer to 60 episodes, so that's amazing. We've also been lucky enough to be nominated for 2 Magic the Gathering Content Creator Awards, and I know that Orcs Magic, he won't promote it, but he's also up for one, which is kind of awesome. So
I'm not promoting it. I don't, but I still think it's an error.
No, man, I think it's good. It's good. So that, and I also do reviews on tech, board games, video games, anything gaming. You go to dezdoes.com.
Yes, he has got some amazing reviews. I highly recommend you go check them out. But yeah, no, I want to say thank you for joining me, Des. We obviously need to do more of this. We have good.
I think so too. I think so.
You know,
the only problem is every time we do this, you cost me money. That's all I'm saying.
It's not my fault. You don't have to
It's-
buy stuff.
Yes, I do. I'm addicted.
Anyway, I
But
want to
yes.
say a big thank you to everyone for joining us today. Stay safe, relax, and yeah, enjoy playing Magic. And please leave comments about any other upgrades to the deck that you can recommend that obviously I've probably skipped over.
Preferably ones not in the fuck up budget, just FYI.
Yeah, actually, no. I want as many people to find as many good fucking budget cards for this deck. In terms
No,
of
because
greens and elves.
no, don't, because the problem is if you do, my dumbass is probably going to buy them. So think of
Oh,
my wallet.
no, yeah, I'm thinking you all. I want to see how badly we can break it.
Yeah, I won't lie. There's several cards here. I think singing one's probably the only one that I'm like not considering.
Oh,
That's how bad it is. The rest of them, I'm like
that's how
kind
bad
of
it is.
considering that one.
But Des, think you never have to take commander damage ever again. You won't lose to commander damage.
That is true too.
And
I don't think I've ever lost to
and,
commander damage. Actually, no.
think, for example, imagine they're swinging in with a Blightsteel Colossus, 11/11, Poison, Infect, Trample. Suddenly it does no damage.
That I won't lie, that would be kind of cool. But yeah, I don't think I've ever lost to commander damage. So
Oh, you
I'm
said
not.
it now, Des. Oh, Des.
Oh yeah, I
You
know.
put that
You
out in
watch
the
first
ether.
first game done commander
Done.
damage.
Commander damage. God damn it, I'm buying a singing tree.
God, I don't. And you know the worst thing is though is if I lose my first game with this deck after upgrading it to commander damage, I will buy it.
Oh, there you go, people. People, come on.
Break my bank. Come on, guys. Let's do
Right.
this.
Anyway, thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.